Well, that was an adventure. Hello.
Are you talking? Because I can't hear you now.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Something's gone amiss.
That's so strange.
And we're going live, and now suddenly there's simply no audio.
Simply no audio.
It cut out of the middle of the intro song.
That's weird.
And I'm wondering if you can hear me.
I
can't hear you. Not at all.
Not
in any way, shape, or form.
I'm gonna play with my my mic here.
This is so great. So you can hear me and I can't hear you. The show's going along fine.
Can you hear me now?
Let me make sure. I mean, it's strange because it's simply cut out in the middle of that intro song. I was hearing everything just great. Inputs going, outputs going.
Working.
Headphones. Yes.
My mic is working.
Not a mucho.
And you can't hear anything.
Shall I come back? Shall I step out of the show and come back?
Yeah, go get out.
I'll leave.
You leave.
And then I'll come back and see what happens.
I hear you.
I think that's the thing to do. I'll be right back.
Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe if there are people listening, they can tell us who can, leave a comment. Can you hear me? This is so humiliating. And let me know if you can hear Tony, if you're in the comments. Huh. What's going on? And he's gone. And I'm all alone with you. I'm all alone with the peeps. What a strange event this is. Oh, okay. You can hear both of us. All right. You can hear me. I wonder what happened in the intro song. I hope Tony comes back. If he doesn't, you can just ask questions, personal questions about him, and I'll answer them. Anything you want to know while he's not here, we can tell embarrassing stories about him. And he's left me all alone. He's left me all alone. Oh, he's coming back. Looks like he's coming back. He hasn't connected his mic or his cam. This is one of the best shows we've ever done. Mom is here, and Mom says she could hear both of us. So that's good. So what we're going to do is I'll talk, and Mom can call Tony and tell him what I'm saying. We might have to come back and do this. We might have to come back and do this.
So I'm suddenly hearing you now.
And everybody has been able to hear us the whole time.
Amazing.
The song cut out in the middle. Sandra Smith said that the song cut out in the middle, but that she could
I think
hear both of us.
I had an internet issue for a minute, and it seemed to have caused a problem with the live streaming.
Okay.
But I'm so sorry.
So let's pretend the show just started.
The show did just start. This has been an overture.
Yeah.
Imagine an orchestra warming up. It's very. I can't wait to listen back and see what that actually sounded like. Was I cursing and screaming back here?
No,
I don't think so.
You didn't say anything bad. So how was your week? Other than
up until this terrifying moment, everything was pretty calm and easy going.
Terrifying for you. I got left here alone with an audience.
We should always have something prepared in case some reading, something to read or something in case that happens, because we're at the mercy of our tech here.
Yeah, I could have given a lecture on the Bujo.
Yeah, you could. Are you still doing Bujo?
I am still doing Bujo. I would guess that the Bujo has about doubled my productivity. It's been really spectacular. Keep track of everything. and also just a sense of accomplishment. As you cross things off during the day, it spurs you on to do more because it feels so good to cross things off.
Yeah, new addictions, new things to be obsessed about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I need. Speaking of addictions, well, this is a long segue. Do you remember? Have we talked about the dance that Mom came up with when we were playing Pictionary a few weeks ago? And she came. Have we talked on the show about
it?
Yeah.
God, I feel like we mentioned it. It's always worth bringing up again. It was a great moment.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I actually think it's time for another episode of Mom's Corner.
Just as a sidebar, we need to work at photoshopping some of those pictures because we look very, very sunburned in some of them. I can take those down.
And young.
Saturation and young. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so she did this amazing. We were playing Pictionary. Do you want to tell the story?
Well, you go ahead. I don't know where you're headed with it.
Well, we were playing Pictionary, and you had to come up with a dance that began with the letter P. Was one of the categories was dance. And,
right.
And Mom came up with,
well, like for instance, other choices were the pogo, which is a dance.
Which is a real, yeah. And Mom came up with the pig walk was the dance that she came up with, and we didn't think it was a real dance.
Well, yes, but let's just refine this by saying, the way that Mom said that this was a dance was so matter of fact.
Yeah, the pig
that
walk.
Of course everybody would know what this is.
Yeah,
pig walk.
The pig walk. Yeah.
The pig walk.
So we said, well, we'll let you have a point if you show us the pig walk. And I will forever be sad that we did not get video.
It's to our great shame that wasn't caught on tape.
We didn't get a video. But there's another dance that you might know about. You might not know about, called the Snickerdoodle slide. And I get to this because we were talking about addictions. And Mom, there's a cookie from Trader Joe's called the Snickerdoodle.
Okay.
That Mom has become quite addicted to, and a little dance started the other day in the kitchen.
Oh wow!
Spontaneously, as she was eating the Snickerdoodles.
Kind of an
Yeah, it was pretty. It was a pretty remarkable moment.
I've been excited about cookies in my time, but I don't know that I've ever broken into an interpretive.
You never did an interpretive Snickerdoodle.
Technically, not an interpretive dance. Technically, that was more of a Fosse-esque kind of. Who was singing? Was that Hamlish? Who was that?
That was. That was Barry Manilow.
That was Barry Manilow. And it was Hamlish. Manilow was one of those guys.
Hamilow.
Manlish.
Manlish Hamilow.
Manish Hamilow.
Yeah.
So that was great. That was really great. I didn't realize this is a whole new gift opportunity for her too. I didn't realize Snickerdoodles were real, number one, or two, that she was such a fan.
It's a big thing.
Does she know that you played this? This was okay with her.
She's cackling downstairs right now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we have all contracts, that the contracts have been signed and that things are legal. That's all.
And that I'm not going to get kicked out on the street before my vaccine fully kicked in. Yeah.
I don't have a car. I can't come help you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's it was pretty
The snickerdoodle slide. Well, that's great.
snickerdoodle slide.
One day we'll get the pig walk on tape as well.
Yeah.
Somehow and show that.
So yeah, it's been a long quarantine. So strange things. Things happen. So anything else this week?
Anything else this week?
Food? Good food?
I made all the food, so it was good. I don't want to, sound too self-impressed by my own cooking, but I made decent meals. I did things around the house. I prepared for this show.
Awesome. All right.
I recorded the other show that I do with Maddie Blake called Rated P for Paranormal.
What was the movie on Rated P for Paranormal this week?
This week we did a movie called The Believers with Martin Sheen and our old friend Elizabeth Wilson, who's in it. And that episode will drop tomorrow, probably, or maybe even tonight. So we prepared for that. So I have, both these shows keep me running. I got a lot to do.
You got a lot to do.
Yeah. How about you? Did you do anything exciting?
I didn't do anything exciting. I had my classes at the university. I had my private class. I did some tweaks to the Birthquake script to get ready for the
reading coming up.
So I did a very little rewriting and tweaking, and the cast is all set. I got an amazing cast. I'm very excited. And
Robert Town finally got his notes to you after the read.
Yeah. It's all good now.
I can't. I'm very excited.
So we've got and in terms of food, I had a Philly cheesesteak the other day, longer than my arm.
Yeah, wow.
I don't have to eat for another week, I think.
You didn't make this at home. There's not room in that kitchen.
I went to the Village Market and I got a the wedge size Philly cheesesteak, and then I came and then I had a black and white that was this big.
Oh my God.
And then I came home and slept for about 17 hours.
For those audio podcast listeners, when he said that big, Matthew held up his hands the size of his solar radiation dish.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
huge. A huge black and white.
The Mesmer 5 telescope is about the size of the cookie that he had.
So I think there might be some people out there who were laboring under the misapprehension that this is a podcast and a show about movies. So maybe we can talk about one.
If we have to, I mean, if that's something that we got to do.
It's our hour. Well, actually,
it is.
It's more than an hour. We could sit here for 24 hours if we wanted to do it.
I've noticed none of the people that complain about it, the show, are willing to pay us to do it differently. No one said, like, we'll give you $20 if you stop talking about this.
Stop talking about
offers are being considered now. Just so you know.
Mom saw the snickerdoodle slide. She did see it.
As they say, you've been all over the world, and now this happened.
Yeah, it's kind of I gotta be careful. I could end up what I show here, I could end up on the street. So this week's movie, Woman on the Run, 1950, written and directed by Norm Macdonald. No, not Norm Macdonald.
Almost.
Norman Foster.
Yes.
It would have been a different movie if Norm Macdonald had done it.
Very different, or had been in it. Or maybe it'd been the same. I don't know. He seems like a noir guy to me.
He's very talented.
Yeah.
And he makes me laugh. So there's a lot of history to this movie. And you're the history guy. So
okay.
There's some interesting history around the print, even, right?
Around the print, I don't know actually about this print. I know I know it was hard to find and out of print until this was run off in the 90s, I think. But I don't know what do you know about the print?
I just heard that there was like only one print of it around, that everything got destroyed.
Oh, really? Maybe so. That's possible. That's possible. I just show up and chat with you. I'm not a historian. I don't know.
You're not a historian.
Yeah, I see a movie, I like
You're
it, I
not
need to
a
talk
historian.
about it.
I call you with questions that I'm like, do you know this song? Or this song's been stuck in my head, and it goes like this. It goes, and I go, boo doo, and you go, oh, it's the Pink Panther theme song. I said, I just did 2 notes. I said 2 notes. You said, but that's what it is.
It's the look on your face when you're doing it. I can see.
You are to film as Austin Pendleton is to theater. It's like just and everything.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. I have proven myself wrong here because I didn't know about this print thing. Although it makes sense because I don't know what other reason there'd be in the world that I wouldn't know about this movie. I other than the print being lost, I can't figure out why no one would have said, "Hey, you got to see this film before this year." Had you ever seen it before?
No. The thing that I think is interesting about it is that we have a movie called Woman on the Run that is about a man on the run.
The original title was Man on the Run, actually.
I know.
But what I love about it is that she is literally on the run all over town also. But it's just kind of ironic.
On the run. She's running around town, but she's not on the run. On the run has a particular connotation of like running away from, like, I'm on the run.
Yeah, but this don't you feel the irony of doing it this way though?
I just got confused.
Just now, or when you were watching the movie? I'm confused. I found I'd seen this movie earlier, I think right before the pandemic hit. We just stumbled upon it, Amelia and I, and I was angry that no one had told me to see this movie before. I couldn't believe that I had never heard of it.
I had nothing to do with it.
I was upset. I was angry at you. I was angry at everybody. And I just think it's completely unique, and it's not really that discussed. There's not a lot of, Ann Sheridan, who stars in it, was kind of new to me. I thought I'd seen her and stuff. She wasn't on my radar. I think she's fantastic. Dennis O'Keefe, again, didn't do a billion movies. Was in some stuff. I'd seen him in some Val Lewton horror movies,
Yeah.
And I thought their chemistry was incredible. And this feels like to me, it feels like Preston Sturges Ghost wrote the script.
Right.
I really feel sincerely that, and in fact, it's possible that Orson Welles did. It's possible.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell people a little bit about the movie, what the movie is about, and everything before we do your smart stuff.
The movie is about a guy who's out walking his dog late one night. He's an artist, a poor, starving artist living in San Francisco, 1950, and he's walking his dog at night and witnesses a murder, and in fact gets shot at himself because the murderer sees that he's been witnessed, and the cops come. He talks to the police, and it turns out that he witnessed the murder that's involving a criminal that they're trying to get, and they need a witness. They need desperately a witness because the other witness was the guy who was just murdered in the street. So they need a new witness to get this case done. The problem is that the killer is a bad news mafia gangster guy, and that he is likely going to go after whoever testifies against him. And the young artist, being kind of hip to that, just leaves. He's like, I'm not going to testify. And he leaves town. He disappears.
Yeah.
So the cops go around and they find his wife, and they talk to his wife, who is Ann Sheridan, who's really the star of the movie. This is all in the very beginning of the film.
Yeah. And
the cops go to her, and the lead cop, played by Robert Keith, who just blows my mind in this movie. He's great. And finds that they had a strange relationship. She doesn't seem to really be that concerned. She isn't behaving the way you'd think somebody would if their husband ran away or was involved in this kind of thing.
Well, their marriage isn't that good. One of my favorite lines is when the cops are talking to Johnson, the artist, and they say to him, "You married?" And he says, "In a way."
Yeah.
Said, "What do you mean in a way? Are you or aren't you?" He's like, "Yeah, I am."
Yeah. They're in kind of a slump. They're not really having a great time. I think, you get the feeling through the movie that, he's an artist and isn't making money and is unhappy. And it's causing a big strain on their relationship, and what they once had isn't really there anymore. And you discover all this as they go. This reporter who wants to do a story on this and get the lead befriends the wife, and together they go around trying to track him down because he needs medication. He has to come out of the cold so she can give him some heart medication or he could die.
Yeah.
So there's all these little elements to the plot, but it's essentially a little mystery. It's kind of almost not noir,
right?
But it really is too, because it's from a very female point of view, and the lead character is a woman who, interestingly, and why I think this movie is really notable now, particularly, her she's not defined by the men that she's around, and she's not trying to look for love or have a man solve her problems. Right. And I think that is so unique for 1950. If that was the only thing that was cool about the movie, it would be worth seeing. But there's a lot more. I love this movie. Just love it.
And for people who don't want spoilers, we do spoilers on this show, so too bad. The movie, this reporter is helping her find her husband, and then almost a third of the way through, maybe halfway through, it has literally a bum 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 moment.
Mm-hmm.
Literally,
it's like where they got that joke,
where we reveal where it's revealed that he is the killer, and he's helping her so that he can find her husband where they're him.
Turns out Dennis O'Keefe, this reporter, is the guy.
But the music, literally, the minute it's revealed that he's the killer, because we know the killer's name is Danny Boy, is referred to as Danny Boy by the victim at the beginning, and she says to him halfway through the movie, "What do people call you when they're not calling you Leggett?" And he says, "Well, my friends call me Danny Boy." And the music literally goes boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and it happens on the close-up of his cigarette lighter, which is the same cigarette lighter we see lighting the cigarette in the beginning. In close-up.
The
guy who dies.
Yeah. Really.
So did you feel surprised that a writer you'd never really heard of read this dialogue in this movie?
Yeah, but also a lot of it apparently was improvised too. That they say that she and Dennis O'Keefe improvised a lot of their dialogue, like they came up with it.
That's fine, but that doesn't account for all the other characters who have amazing lines and dialogue in it.
Yeah, no, there's great stuff. There's great stuff in it. I'm not putting it down. No, I love all of it. I love the, hey, haven't I seen you someplace before? I shouldn't be surprised. I've been there.
You don't feel this way about you're not excited about this movie though.
I am. I loved it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick the fight. I'm trying to find the fight. I'm trying to find out why we're here talking. Why are we here?
I hated this goddamn movie from beginning to end.
Because I guess what I'm saying is that it really blew my mind. It really blew my mind.
You want to make a movie in San Francisco and you don't have a car chase up and down the hills? Piece of crap. How do you do that?
I gotcha.
There's no trolley in this movie. No streetcars. Piece of
yeah.
Movie.
I thought it was amazing, like amazing, notably amazing. And you seem kind of like, yeah, it's a good movie. I liked it. So I feel like I want to find out exactly what level of like about it. You're being slightly cagey.
I thought it was really good. It didn't knock my socks off the way Blast of Silence and Kiss of Death not Kiss of Death.
Kiss Me Deadly.
Kiss of Deadly.
Right. Okay. All right.
Those movies really, I mean, I enjoyed this one, but I didn't go nutsy Fagin for it.
There wasn't any. You didn't feel like the homicidal maniac was endearing enough to you, perhaps, in this film.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's about a lady. I don't know what some lady.
Maniac in Kiss Me Deadly. I want to hang out with.
Yeah, this
I
one
want
not
to get
so
a
much.
beer and
Nah.
go bowling with him.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. There's no. I didn't relate to the killer, and it's about a lady running around. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you why I think why I love it so much, though. Love it. Like, saw it and then started telling other people about it and bought the movie the minute I'd seen it and started like reading up on Dennis O'Keefe and Sheridan, because it's such a surprise. First of all, San Francisco, all locations, like you're there completely immersed in real San Francisco from that period, which is pretty cool. I mean, there was some studio stuff too, but it was studios up in the Bay Area that they shot everything up there.
Right.
And I think what's really also notable about it is it's such a San Francisco movie without relying on a lot of cliches. You know, it doesn't use a trolley car chase or use the hills, except for a couple of notable shots of just her walking, which shows some, interesting landscapes. It doesn't use San Francisco as a tourist does, the way that a lot of San Francisco movies do.
Right.
You don't see it.
There is that one travel log with the ADR in the middle of the movie where they're walking around and all the dialogue is ADR'd, and it's a little travel log of
yeah, they do that. That's true. It's true.
It's which I thought was an homage to not No Way Out, the Nassau, when they go down to Nassau in help me.
I don't know where you went in
a movie that has the travel log in it when they go to we were talking about the
is it a movie we saw?
Yeah, it was a movie we did.
Oh,
Travis McGee.
The
travel log down in Nassau.
Yeah, the Deep Amber Kiss, or the
Deep Blue Goodbye.
Deep Blue Goodbye. Yeah, they do that. They do have a little travelogue in the middle, but I think other than that,
Deep Blue Goodbye, Darker Than Amber.
Other than that, the whole way they treat San Francisco is the way that it reminds me of Blast of Silence, in that this was a movie made by somebody who lives in San Francisco. I mean, clearly, Norman Foster, the director and writer, lived there, and because the clubs that you see, the restaurants that they go to, the hangouts, the feel of it all is so authentic, and it's not high end stuff. These aren't like rich people. The movie doesn't center around people with money, so you get to see this kind of like just street level view of what San Francisco must have been like in the 50s, and it's great. I mean, to go to these clubs with different kinds of dance numbers and different kinds of menus and totally different kind of ethnicity around them. You don't see that in movies from LA so much.
No, and Sullivan's Grotto is still there.
Is it really? Oh, cool, man.
It's a little higher end now than it was in the movie. I think they've redone it, but you can bet the next time I'm up in San Francisco, I'm going to visit Jet. I'm going to check that out.
I would love to do that too. And I love how without beating it over the head too much, they also talk about San Francisco even then feeling like this place where it was just a little more open. The society seemed a little just more open. People were the question of if this guy maybe that's on the run was having a bad marriage because maybe he's gay or having a sexual identity problem is brought up, not specifically, but it's kind of there and not mocked. That's what I thought was so interesting. Like it's kind of depicted as a place where even the cops are a little bit used to, different lifestyle choices. It's a very interesting vibe, and it's what I also love about it is that it's kind of got a beatnik quality. Like these main characters, Ann Sheridan and her husband who's on the run, this artist, are clearly they're like beatniks, like for real. They seem to, and he's an artist. You don't really know what she does, but she doesn't seem to care that he's an artist. She's not like a conservative type person at all.
No, she had some money when they started I mean, she wasn't rich, but she had a little bit of money, and they spent it, and now they don't have any money anymore.
And it seems like she could go maybe be a writer or a poet or do something, but they're a very interesting couple that way. And
they have Worcestershire sauce and Tabasco and all this other stuff that, like, back in the day, like,
that was really hip. That was different.
I mean,
different. So they're kind of like hipsters. They're like beatniks,
Yeah.
And what I thought was really interesting about this movie is that they were the real thing in 1950. This is before the beatnik stuff had been kind of advertised back to us. It hadn't been digested by our culture yet, and kind of spat back at us in cartoon form and other forms. This was the real, like, felt like more real. And that, between that and the fact that the script really feels like it was, I swear to you, I would bet money that Norman Foster had help from some silent writing partner, like someone like Orson Welles, or who he knew. Norman Foster was friends with Welles, apparently.
He was also at one point married to Claudette Colbert, so he's got that going for him.
Norman Foster was?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought that Orson Welles also was, so that's really incredible. They really have shared a lot.
Oh, there you go.
And there's something about the spirit of it that I just think is great. It's got this attitude about life that I really dig. And I mean, there's this moment where they go to a bar, her and Dennis O'Keefe, and they're staking out a place. He's got to go check on something. And they go to this bar in that neighborhood, and they sit down, and there's this really drunk lady at the bar. She's trash. She's been there all morning, and she's drunk.
That's somebody who I want to give a shout out to.
Please.
Joan Shawley.
Isn't she great?
As blonde is spectacular.
And
that moment also taps into something that you were talking about earlier about Ann Sheridan's character not being defined by the men in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because her husband is missing, and she's looking for him, and she's going to find him. And this blonde at the bar, her life is defined by the men. Her husband left 3 years ago. He walked out the door, and she's been sitting in that bar drinking ever since. So she is nobody without him. And Ann Sheridan looks at her. It's a pivotal moment in the movie. She looks at her, and you see her saying, "That is not me.
Yeah.
I am not that woman.
Yeah.
I am a whole person all by myself.
Yeah.
Whether this guy comes back or not."
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Whether he comes back or not, she's looking for him because it's her responsibility to do it as his friend more than she's doing it out of romance or love, or he completes her. It's like
as she learns about him too, she realizes that there's stuff that she's been missing too. Mm-hmm. That she comes to understand him in a new way, because in searching for him, she hears about him through other people's eyes, and
they finally communicate.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's kind of like that song, "Do You Like Pina Coladas?"
It is. It's exactly like the song, "Do You Like Pina Coladas?" And what I love is did you pick up on the stories that the bartender at Sullivan's Grotto tells her while the drunk blonde is saying, "they never come back." And he tells her 2 stories that her husband told him about painting.
Yeah.
Which I think are both lies, because they're basically like it's like he told the bartender stories about his life that are Hemingway and Gauguin, basically.
Yes.
Right? He talks about the going and painting going down and watching the bullfights, and he talks about going to Tahiti and painting it's like, no, that's Gauguin you're talking about. You were lying to the bartender.
Probably. There's that great scene too where one of the people she talks to and trying to track him down is this dude that her husband worked with named Mavis. And her husband, in one of the kind of low end jobs that he's had to do to scramble to make it as an artist, is to make mannequins for showrooms and for clothes for like Macy's storefronts and stuff. And the guy that he works with at the shop that makes the mannequins is a great character. Do you want to play a little bit of that clip?
Yeah, he's spectacular. Let's go to share audio, and here we go. It's not playing.
Oh my God.
So Frank is a fugitive from the law. Well, that's just like him. He is so adventurous. Adventurous, Frank? Oh, yes, indeed. Sit down, Mrs. Johnson. I guess you've never visited our workshop before. What makes you think he's adventurous? Oh, but he is. All the places he's gone and all the things he's done. You know, my life has been pretty uneventful. Straight from high school to this job. From my rooming house to the streetcar and then down here to work. In the evening, back to my rooming house again. But since he's been here, it's different. He makes my life kind of exciting. I never get tired listening to the stories he tells about his trip down to Mexico. When he was wandering around with all those bullfighters. And when he shipped off to Tahiti in that old freighter and then jumped ship. Oh, I'm sorry. I suppose you've heard these stories many times, Mrs. Johnson. I never heard them. He never told me. He didn't? Well, maybe he didn't want his wife to know. Oh, I'm sorry if I talked out of turn. Of course you have. Shouldn't the mail be here? Why, yes, should. Why? Frank sent me a letter in care of you.
So, I guess I was, how do I get back to you? Where are you?
I'm here. I am here for you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I was wrong. It wasn't the bartender who he told the stories to. It was Mavis. He tells the story.
He tells those stories to Mavis, yeah. And Mavis goes on to say some really wonderful things. He's just one of them, a bunch of great characters that she meets. I love the couple that they're the dancers at the Chinese restaurant that they go to. They have wonderful stuff and like stuff that's not just about plot. Like every character has like personal things to say and funny stuff to do.
Yeah.
That's outside the narrative, which I really dig. So it feels like it has some of that quality that, you know, that both these other noir movies had, that Blast of Silence and Kiss Me Deadly have, where it's just nice to see movies that were they're striving to be more inclusive and open at that time. I thought it was notable for that too. But funny things like, you know, she's being followed by a female investigator, like one of the cops that's trailing her is a woman, which is also amazing. Like, I don't think I'd ever seen in 1950 a depiction of a female police officer undercover. Yeah. Like on her own, just undercover. I thought that was really great. And there's a really funny line about that because Dennis O'Keefe gets into a cab with Ann Sheridan and he says, "Is that female impersonator still following you?" Like, there's just some really funny lines. And Mavis has a very funny line at the end of the scene we were just listening to. The guy that he works with in the mannequin shop shows her a bust, and this is a big pivotal moment of the movie too. I think he says, "Let me show you some of the things he was doing in the shop," because he's such a brilliant sculptor. So he shows her this piece, this bust of this woman, this kind of Art Deco woman, and it's Ann Sheridan. It's clearly her, and Ann Sheridan sees it and is really like has this really complex reaction to it. It's not a simple thing. They don't let it just be, oh, he made this beautiful thing of me. It's her kind of going, wow, that's how he sees me.
Yeah, and she's very severe in it.
It's very severe, but very beautiful at the same time. It's a combination of things. It's not one flavor. So she also really plays all of those flavors in that shot, and responding to it. Just full of really cool stuff. Did you like the cop as much as I did?
I did. I love the cop.
Didn't he remind you a little bit of our grandfather?
Yes. Yeah. He did. He's got an interesting story, that actor. You know who he is? Whose father he is?
No, I don't.
He's Brian Keith's father.
No kidding. Oh my God.
And he was married to a woman named Peg Entwistle, who in 1932 committed suicide by jumping off of the H of the Hollywood sign.
Wow.
Peg Entwistle was Robert Keith's stepmother for a time.
You mean Brian Keith?
Brian Keith's stepmother for a time. Yeah.
Wow, that's a
and
crazy story.
A whole sad. I read a lot about them. The family had this. She had this very sad, complicated life, even before she married Robert Keith. But then Brian Keith, I hadn't realized, also committed suicide shortly after a daughter committed suicide. I mean, I
didn't know about this. This show should come with a warning.
Yeah,
trigger warning.
Just a tragic family.
Awful stories. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, because about anybody, but I'm such a huge Brian Keith fan. I didn't know his dad was an actor. It makes sense. And Robert Keith is he's so relaxed. He's so funny and droll and relaxed, and he's got so many great lines. I just wrote, at the top of my notes, just exclamation point, locations, chemistry, banter, and mature relationships. Just surprised the hell out of me for a movie from 1950. One of the great dog characters in a movie.
Yes. There's some technical stuff in this film I want to talk about, because I want you to explain a couple of things to me. Well, first of all, this I don't need explaining. I know enough to know. There's a whole great Dutch angle sequence where it's just shot after shot after shot with Dutch angles, which we can look at a little bit.
Cool.
If you don't remember them, here we go. This whole sequence here. And going just as their search, that long travelogue search. And then there's great lighting.
Right. There is great lighting. Yeah.
But here's the sequence.
And a terrible print, it must be said.
This horrible print. Yeah. But here's the sequence that confused me. When he's in her apartment, when the cop is in her apartment and he's looking at some of the husband's artwork, we have this sequence of shots where they cut from him. They keep cutting back and forth between this shot and this shot, where she's looking at him. Look at her eye line. And look at his eye line.
Yeah.
And then this. And he doesn't get up. He's not sitting down. We keep going back and forth between these three shots. And I didn't understand what the heck was going on.
You mean in terms of where they are? Because it looks like she's really much taller in that when he's looking up at her.
She's like he's sitting down and looking up at her, but he's not.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's weird. I think what it is some angles just look weird. I think that was probably how they were standing, but because they wanted to get that high angle shot of the artwork.
Gotcha.
And probably emphasize, she is taller than him, which is kind of funny. Yeah. And I think that shot really emphasizes how much taller she is, that she's looking down on this inspector and is kind of in a power position, which is really kind of unusual for a woman in that time.
And then the setup at the beginning, I love this pair of shots where where Johnson is talking about how the killer shot at him. And
oh man, this opener is fantastic.
The cop says he thought he was shooting at you. And what he was shooting at was the shadow. And then he says he was a pretty good shot too. And Johnson takes a step back and we see that.
Yeah. I have that's written down for me as my favorite shot in the movie. That's just great visual storytelling. Great.
And then this brings me back to Kiss Me Deadly. Stairs.
Oh, got the stairs.
The stairs.
Got the stairs. So good.
And then there was this odd process shot at the end of the movie, which I couldn't figure out what
that is. Such a strange shot. I was laughing about that too, because it is the weirdest reaction and the strangest process shot. It's really weird,
and it doesn't fit into the narrative at all. It just happens.
I think there were it's impossible to know, like a movie where the print is in this bad shape today. There could be things missing. God knows what went wrong in the last 70 years that they had to fix or fell out of the movie, and they had to kind of just put in a shot. I
have another picture of the Snickerdoodle slide too that I want to share. There we have that. That's not the Snickerdoodle slide.
That's not the Snickerdoodle.
That's the end of the movie.
I would say that the end of the movie, it's got a very strangely abrupt ending. I will say, it kind of just closes. They're like, okay, we did it. We shot all the film we have. We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
I do want to talk for a second about just San Francisco, though. Can we? Or am I interrupting?
You want to talk about San Francisco in terms of the movie, or you just want to talk about San Francisco?
Just want to go, man. I just want to take a trip.
You want to go back to that Chinese restaurant that we went to with James Caan and
I do,
and Jack Crucian, and
yeah, who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah.
I just think it's really cool. Just to talk about San Francisco movies for a second, because it's not just a great town as a backdrop for films. I mean, and it's been kind of the backdrop of some of the most famous movies of Hitchcock's career. And
am I going to have to listen to you talk about the Presidio again for
Pacific Heights? No, what was it? Yeah. It's the backdrop of a lot of great films, I mean, but the thing is, not a lot of people know it's also had its own film culture and movie culture neck and neck with Hollywood from the beginning of time, from the beginning of movies. Did not know that. Yeah. Apparently it was, there were some producers and forces at work that were trying to kind of convince the people in Hollywood to transfer all the power up to the Bay Area. Chaplin was lured up there for a while. And interestingly, some of the first movies ever made were made in the Bay Area. This may be too nerdy for you, but do you know that famous Horse in Motion? The cabinet cards, they're called, that you could kind of see as a flicker book.
Yeah.
Those were shot in in the Bay Area. Those were shot and created at a stable right outside of San Francisco. One of the first films ever made, really, if you think about it. Also, A Trip Down Market Street is a very famous movie. You know that thing? Have you shown that in class?
No.
It's a ghost ride movie. Basically, it's what they used to call a ghost ride, like putting a camera on a train or a dolly or a car and driving through a city, or just going down train tracks for a while and seeing the world roll by. That was a popular thing to do with movies. And there was a very famous one called A Trip Down Market Street, which was made in 1906. And by a couple of brothers. Who were the brothers who made that? The Miles brothers. And the Miles brothers, they were establishing a whole movie empire up there in the Bay Area. And they had the first motion picture exchange in the whole United States was up there. This film, A Trip Down Market Street, was shot literally 5 days before the San Francisco earthquake.
Oh, wow.
And the brothers, apparently, who made the film, shot it and then had to go immediately to the East Coast. So they got on a train and went to the East Coast. And by the time they got there, they heard about the earthquake, and they had the negatives with them of the existing city that was just destroyed.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, like, movies are in the DNA and up in San Francisco. And then you'd always had filmmakers who were trying to kind of relocate up there or create another version of that. Like Coppola was trying to do that with Zoetrope Studios. And there's always been a really interesting, thriving film community up there, as well as a theater community. And I just think it's a great city, and it's got a great movie tradition. And I like to think about kind of how different movies would be if Hollywood had decided to actually be there. Completely different terrain, different kinds of stories they might have told, different political viewpoints, you know.
Yep.
And you can see that kind of political stance and that slightly different, and slightly anti-authoritarian, hippie, beatnik kind of idealism in a lot of these films from that time and throughout, which is really cool. Anyway, little thought experiment.
You'd have a lot more freebie in the beans.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Or, well, yeah. Yeah. I that's a whole other story, that movie.
I love that movie.
I do too, but you can't really show it anymore. I mean, you can at my house, but
I'll come. Yeah, no, you can't show that movie anymore. But you can show Bullet.
You can show Bullet. You can show Bullet. I mean, you could arguably whether you should show Dirty Harry or not. I still watch that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Love how that movie looks, and has a beautiful version of San Francisco.
Yeah.
The Birds is fantastic. Vertigo is fantastic San Francisco movie. They're just it's really, I mean, it's kind of the best movie city in a lot of ways. It's so romantic. It's so stunning on camera, I mean,
come on, man. Los Angeles, La La Land,
doesn't really compare when you think about it. They make some beautiful movies up there in Hollywood, but I don't know. Oh God, speaking of San Francisco movies, the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1977 version. Do you know that one?
I saw it a long time ago.
Oh, dude, buddy,
we're
going to refresh. We will refresh ourselves on the show.
Are we going to watch that?
We have to. I mean, okay. if you're like, I don't know it so well, then 100% gotta see it.
Okay, again. Is Kevin McCarthy in it?
Yes, he is.
Okay, I thought so. I thought I remembered that he has a cameo in it.
He does.
All right, then I'll watch it.
Woman on the Run is available on Amazon Prime if anybody gets that service. Yeah. We don't get any money for Amazon Prime. They just
any money for Amazon Prime.
They have a lot of movies that you can see, and they have a lot of noir movies. Like we're doing this noir run right now, but Did you dip in and see how many noir movies they got? It's
I
pretty
didn't.
good.
Next week we're doing Farewell, My Lovely,
Yeah,
which is also, I think, free on Amazon Prime.
it might be free. I don't know. I gotta say, we're gonna see it. I'm a little worried about this one.
You're worried? Why? Because Elliot Gould is an incredibly hard-boiled detective.
That's not. We're not seeing. That's not what we're seeing.
Oh no, that's
That's the Long Goodbye.
That's
We're not seeing Long Goodbye.
We're watching Farewell, My Lovely. That's right. Okay.
Long Goodbye, I will see tonight. I'll probably go watch that tonight.
Long Goodbye has one of the most horrifying scenes in it that the scene where where the bad guy talks about how much he loves his girlfriend for a long, long time, and then smashes the bottle across her face.
It's awful. Yeah.
That scene wrecked me.
Yeah.
Still bothers me.
It's also kind of funny, but it's awful.
It's awful. Yeah. Farewell, My Lovely, Robert Mitchum.
Yeah. I mean, no one goes around saying this is a great movie.
Robert Mitchum is a little more hard-boiled, though, than Elliot Gould.
Well, yeah. Okay. Is that how we're gonna talk about Robert Altman? Is just that Elliot Gould wasn't as tough a guy as Philip Marlowe was?
No. Do you want to not watch Farewell, My Love? We can watch.
I do. I'm just telling you, I'm worried about it. I think there's a reason why nobody knows a lot about this movie. I think it's not. I feel like, I mean,
you're a little worried that I'm going to think that that Robert Mitchum and Philip Marlowe is like a great guy that I want to join a fraternity.
No, because I think Marlowe is a great guy. Like, I think Marlowe's totally clean. He's squeaky clean.
Okay,
he's that. That's what kind of makes me feel like Marlowe is arguably not noir.
All right.
I feel like Marlowe is a detective, story guy, but not a noir guy.
Should we watch something like This Gun for Hire or?
I don't mind watching it. I need to be honest with you. I want to be completely honest with you, and say that I will watch it. I've watched terrible films that I hate, maybe 6 or 7 times.
You know what? Maybe we should do. Maybe we should watch every movie that is used in Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
That'd be a whole season's worth of, we could keep just doing a noir show, which is fine. That's totally fine. No, I'm just saying, this looks like, Mitchum's a little old to be doing the detective thing. Although he wasn't in the Yakuza, and that was at the same time. So maybe it's great. I love Mitchum. I'm just saying, it looks like it looks like a kind of a fan fetish thing, not like a real movie. I don't know.
Okay, good. But you know me. I mean, I like talking about the bad movies more than I like talking about the good movies.
Me too. My concern is that it's not going to be either a really good bad movie or a bad good movie, but just kind of a boring movie. I don't.
You think it's going to be just a bad movie?
I just think it's going to be kind of a meh. But we'll see. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I've not seen it. So,
who directed it?
Klaus von.
Director.
Wait, let me look that up. I don't even really know.
Klaus von Directorwitz.
Farewell, my love. I'm breaking all the movie nerd rules. I'm looking things up. I don't know anything. I'm such a loser.
We're not getting paid to do this show, so we don't have to be good at it.
This movie is the guy named Dick Richards directed this movie.
Dick Richards.
Dick Richards.
He's directed some great movies. Like,
did he?
Freebie and the Bean.
No, but he did direct Rafferty.
Oh, that's right, Rafferty. Okay, I knew it was one of the movies around that time.
Yeah, Rafferty and the Goldust Twins, which honestly, I would love to see.
Golden era.
I would love to see that movie.
Rafferty and the Gold Dust Twins again?
Well, I've never seen it. I was too
You've
young
never
to
seen
see.
Rafferty?
I was too young. I think there's boobs in that movie, probably, right? And naked people and things the child shouldn't see. So I think that's why I didn't get to see it.
Oh, okay. I don't remember if there's I don't remember if there's boobs or anything, but there is Harry. Yeah, there's Harry Dean Stanton.
Oh, children shouldn't see that. No, that's why. Children shouldn't be around that.
Right there. I let my kids see boobs before I let them.
All day long before I let them see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, look. No,
Okay.
look at the naked lady. Don't
Just
look at Harry Dean Stanton.
Don't look at him until you're 25 years old. Promise me.
Yeah, really. that can, but I remember meeting Harry Dean Stanton.
That's great, man. You hung out with Harry Dean Stanton.
I did not hang out with him. I met him and then was sent to my room.
I don't remember. See, Dad's so funny because I didn't remember Harry Dean Stanton was in this movie. It's crazy.
I could be making it up. I was 10 years old, so maybe I've got it wrong.
Well, let's see. Was Harry Dean Stanton computer? Was Harry Dean Stanton?
Make it so.
Yeah, he was. He was in. He was in Rafferty.
Yeah, I thought so. He plays a guy with a wooden leg, if I recall.
And Get Out of Town. It's available on Amazon Prime.
Well, maybe we need to, crack
Amazing.
that egg and do one of Dad's movies on the show. We haven't done one of his movies on the show.
That's a good idea.
At some point, we're gonna have. We can't avoid it forever.
He plays a Vietnam vet in this movie. Is that right? Who comes back to town and is kind of drifting and meets these two.
No, he's a very disgruntled DMV test.
He's an ex-Marine.
Yeah,
yeah,
and he connects with Sally Kellerman and
Mackenzie Phillips, right?
Phillips, and
yeah.
They take off across the country on a madcap.
So it's a road trip comedy.
A road trip, yeah. Weird, dark comedy. It's not
the 70s comedy.
Yeah.
Which is a tragedy by anybody else's estimation.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And,
is it really raw? I mean, I remembered because I don't think they let me see it. So I always imagined the movie was really raw and
were really
violent, and
there was some violence in it. I think there might have been a little canoodling with Sally Kellerman or something going on in the.
Yeah, I seem to recall there was stuff like that was recommended as a child. I avoid. But now it's available. I didn't even know this was available. This is so exciting.
The big thing for me when Dad was doing that was that Sally Kellerman had been on one of the seminal Star Trek episodes. And I got to meet her. And it was just like, oh my God.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. With not Keir Delay. Who is the other guy in 2001? The other.
God, you're not Robert Forster. I always think it's Robert Forster. Yeah. It looks like Robert Forster.
Yeah.
You're calling me out on Kubrick right on the air. It's really rough.
Where No Man Has Gone Before was episode 3 of the first season, and it's the series cast is come on, who is it? Gary Marshall? No, yeah, it's Gary Marshall. Yeah, Gary Lockwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gary Lockwood.
I get confused because I always think Gary Lockwood sounds so much like an astronaut's name that must be the character name.
Right. Yeah. No, it was Gary Lockwood and Sally Kellerman get these godlike powers. And I was so enthralled to meet Sally Kellerman.
Mackenzie Phillips, you weren't interested to meet Mackenzie? She was a big star. Like Mackenzie Phillips, Matthew.
Mackenzie Phillips was a big star from like some like family show, right?
She went on to do what, Three's Company? No, not Three's Company.
It was something. She'd already been on some kids family kind of show, I think.
One Day at a Time.
Yeah, there you go. I was not a One Day at a Time kind of dude.
I watched One Day at a Time. One Day at a Time. I thought as a child, I thought it brought up a lot of interesting issues about femininity and things of that nature that a young person could have helped. Plus, Pat Harrington Jr. played the horny guy who came upstairs with the wrench all the time.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Pat Harrington of the
President's Analysts fame. Yeah. Yeah. The phone company guy.
Wow. It's all come full circle on this show.
It all eventually does.
I think this is where I would stop watching.
You know what I love about Women on the Run, just to bring it back so we can close up with some kind of aplomb, with some kind of sense of dignity.
Okay.
Is how it's a common theme that people are looking out for each other and not just talking to the cops just because. Like, this whole community of people that she knows, it's great. Like, particularly I'm thinking of like the old artist Cap, right? Who covers for the artist at the end of the movie.
Yep.
Who won't even talk to her at first because he's like, nope, told him I'm not going to say a word and I'm not going to do it. Like, he covers for the guy.
Yep.
The old guy who they go to see where he exchanged his clothes to get like a pea coat and another hat to be in disguise. And he's like, no, his line is great. He's like, what does he say? I don't, how do I know? I don't watch people. Like, he doesn't, it's all about mind your business. Like, it's got an interesting attitude.
We also haven't talked about the God, I had a stroke or something today. The roller coaster treatment.
Well, it's great, right?
Spectacular.
It's so good. I mean, look at them go. Like, they have no money and they're trying to make this crazy sequence where she's trapped on a roller coaster that's going kind of almost too fast, and the killer is down below her in the middle of the circle of the roller coaster, kind of hidden from the arcade, but there's a murder happening and she can't get off and she's screaming.
She's screaming.
The camera's
heartbreaking. She's screaming.
Oh, she's screaming. And there's shots, like there's process shots, and then there's location shots.
There's the process shot of Robert Keith standing nowhere near anything.
Just looking slightly consternated.
Yeah.
I'll say, I think that the movie doesn't really, like, if you're gonna look for a really crackerjack thriller, like a Hitchcock level thriller, you're not gonna find that here. It also doesn't have like the real darkness of noir, that you're gonna find in other noir movies. If you go to this not worrying about how they tie up the mystery part so much, I mean, they tie it up, but it's not like the conclusion isn't mind blowing. But if you watch this just kind of going to hang out in San Francisco with some funny people for an hour and a half, I think you're going to have a great time.
It does have that great Hitchcock North by Northwest or 39 Steps beginning of the innocent man, the guy who's got nothing to do with anything, suddenly caught up in the middle of disaster land,
just embroiled in something he didn't ask for, doesn't deserve.
But then, interestingly, it doesn't follow him; it follows her,
right?
Instead of him.
And interestingly, like they actually even talk about this with the cop, who is a human being enough to kind of talk with her about why she should tell them where he is. The cops can't force her to tell them,
right?
Because she's married to him. They can't do that, right? Isn't that like the law, right? You can't. Or was it the law or something? Like
they can't force you to testify against your spouse.
Right.
But in a situation like that, they can't.
But he's not wanted. He's not wanted for murder. He's wanted
for murder.
Yeah. So they can't really force her. But they can strongly urge her and prod her to do it. And her whole thing is like, let him decide. Like I'm not going to give him up, and I'm not going to, he's on his own. If this is what he wanted to do, he should do it. And then the cop is like, he won't last forever. He's got a heart condition, and on the run like that, he won't make it. And so the clock is ticking a little bit, not in any major way. You don't really think the guy's going to die from the medication. It's not like he's a diabetic or something where he will die. Like he'll really be in trouble without it. But the biggest case that the guy makes is basically like, I can't look out for every individual. I'm looking out for the good of the whole community. And it's for the good of the whole community that this guy gets taken down. And so that's my job. But then he also says like, and I'll get fired. It's also my job. Like I'll get fired if I don't, which is kind of great because he doesn't ever pretend to be like on the side of justice. And he's just a guy.
Right.
And she sees through any of that anyway. So, I always love it when they depict people who are smart enough not to talk to the cops.
Yeah.
It's like what a strong female character. What a strong character in general. Like most guys in movies freak out and start panicking and sweating when the cop, like in every Hitchcock movie, guys start freaking out. And here's this strong woman who the cops are badgering her, and she's just like, leave me alone.
I confess to the cops when I walk by a cop on the street. I go up and tell them I did something wrong. I
preemptively confess.
Yeah.
I apologize before I've done
sorry.
It.
Yeah.
In case I do.
Yeah.
But I just think she's so, her. And the other thing I love about the movie, it's just that she's this complete total woman, but it's also not about her being this incredible woman. She's just a regular person.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool. It's somewhat advanced filmmaking and interesting. Also coming from the guy, Norman Foster, the writer director of this movie, who was famous before this for doing films you can't really see much these days.
A lot of racist movies.
Mr. Moto and Charlie Chan films.
Yeah.
What's cool about it, though, to me, is that this almost seemed like he was trying to do the real version of San Francisco, and with real Chinese people in it who were real people, and like it seems like he was trying to correct something with this movie a little bit. Maybe I'm imagining that, but
I don't think so. I think you imagine a lot of things. I don't think you're imagining that.
Do I?
You've been imagining this entire evening.
Yes.
None of this has happened.
Would that it were.
All righty. Well, so next week,
are we going to finish, or what are we doing though? We haven't decided officially.
Farewell, My Lovely.
We're doing Farewell, My Lovely. Okay.
Farewell, My Lovely. We're going to wrap this noir kick off, or maybe we won't. Well, who knows what?
Well, at least you'll get some sleep between then and now.
Please, God, let me get some sleep. I woke up at 4:00 this morning. I couldn't get back to sleep.
Just woke up. No,
I had to file our corporate tax return today.
When you say are you talking about me? Because I don't remember being in business.
I'm talking about the booze business. I had to file corporate. I don't know how to fill out corporate tax returns. I'm going to be in the slammer in a matter of months.
Well, I'll bring you baked goods with a small hacksaw inside.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. All right.
Have a great evening, man. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Too. And I'll probably see you before next week. But if I don't, I will see you next week.
One of those things will happen.
Good night.
Good night.